So, hello, my name is Cassey. I'm so glad that you guys could come on. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and what God has done and what He's done with what I didn't feel like and understand was all gut health. So, I struggled with endometriosis, PCOS, and something called adenomyosis, and did not realize that those ailments were my issue. So, in college, I actually had a friend, I was kind of passed out in the computer lab room dealing with pain. And I thought that I could just get to it really quick, take my Excedrin Midol and all the things. And she said, Cassey, that is not normal. And I said, no, it's normal for me. I just didn't take my medicine in time. And she's like, no, this is not normal. I need you to go get seen. So, long story short, went in and they had said, and if anybody's been to a doctor, they know, well, let's try this medication and let's see how you feel. Or let's see if this medication works. Let's see how you do. And I thought, I don't want to take all these medications and then none of them actually get to the root of what is my issue. This is before I found out what I had. And so I said, rather do, and he's like, well, we can do surgery and I can examine and see what you have inside. And I'm like, I would rather do that. That sounds crazy, I know, but I didn't want the side effects of all the medications that he was wanting to put me on either. And that could have been a life-term sentence. And then I would be on that for forever. So went in, had surgery, and that's where he found out I had stage 4 of all of those ailments. And so they were like, well, you should be fine now. Everything will be fine now. Long story short, he was wrong. And I found out, so we had our first daughter there in Wichita, and everything came back. And I thought, well, I thought you got it all. And they're like, well, let's go back in and we'll do it one more time. Maybe we left a few things. So what they do is they go in, and if anybody knows endometriosis, they go in and kind of burn it off or exorcism. Lord help me, it's getting late. Not that. They
Cauterize. Cauterize.
Carterize, but it's an E word. Tonia, I can't think of it at the moment, but um, I'll think of it in a moment. But anyway, either way, carterize, take it out. Do you know it or no?
I don't.
Okay, it's okay. Um, I'm only on 3 actives today. It's just totally fine. But what happened is when they went, so I was like, fine. So I went to a second surgery after our daughter, and I felt great. I thought, oh, finally, I can feel like what it is like a normal person. Long story short, had our second daughter, and it came back. And I thought, what in the world is going on? So had another surgery, and then they were like, if it comes back, you just need hysterectomy. Okay. It came back and it came back stronger. And I thought, I don't want to have another surgery. And it keeps failing because I just felt like I was having deja vu all the time. And so I started doing my own research and I started looking into the endometriosis center in Atlanta. And I thought this was my like go-to. It has to be a top hospital. It's kind of like Mayo Clinic. Like people, when you feel like you need help, you go to Mayo Clinic or something to that nature. That's what this type of hospital was. It's supposed to be the top doctors that know what they're doing. And so I had all my paperwork there. I even had a neuro appointment because I was so dizzy. I would almost pass out all the time. I don't even know how I got to do CrossFit, Cindy. There were days I got to go there, and there was days I was passing out those next days because it was all during you knowing me. Um, Long story short, I started joining Facebook groups because I thought, well, I want to hear from other women that have gone there and what they've dealt with. So I started watching, and we all watch things for a long time. I started watching these women, and they're like, wait, I went to this hospital and I had this doctor and I'm having issues. Did he do something wrong? Or did I do something wrong? And I thought, oh my gosh, God, you're trying to show me that I'm not listening and I'm not going in the right direction because this is not obviously what my body is going to need. I don't want another failed surgery and then a hysterectomy because that's what they really wanted to do. And so, long story short, we lived in Wichita. We moved to Springfield. Now, Plexus got brought up several times there in Wichita, but from my sister. And if you knew my story, sister, I'll just give you a small tidbit. Like the last that I know of her is she lives in a tent. So her quality of life and who she is as a person is not somebody that I would trust, especially with my body. And so when Plexus kept getting brought up, I was like, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. So long story short, we moved to Wichita, or we moved from Wichita to here to Springfield, Missouri, and it got brought up again. And I thought, oh God, if you're going to keep bringing it up, I'm going to slap the next person that brings it up because I keep seeing my sister every time, if that makes sense. So it got brought up at church. We had just started coming to a church here, and sweet girl, actually, because I was so stubborn, blessed me with the products for Christmas. and gave me the products because she knew my story. I didn't tell a lot of people, but I told some people at that point. And so she just gifted it to me. And I'm here today because of that. And I will tell you, I did not believe they were going to work. And within 3 months, I was telling Jason, my husband, which is ex-military guy, and if you knew him, he's rough around the edges. He'll tell you like it is. He's great. We need more people like that sometimes, but he's like, whatever. There's no way that you're already feeling this good in 3 months because I realized I wasn't having any ruptured cysts. I actually was not falling down or feeling like I was going to pass out. I was had more energy. I was cleaning my refrigerator. I was doing things that could have never done prior. I wasn't drinking a pot of coffee a day because that was my life. I had chronic fatigue, I had chronic constipation, I had all kinds of things. You can list it to the doctor. I was there. I had a whole sheet. And Jason was like, whatever, this is placebo effect. There's no way. Give it one more month. And so, month 4, took it again, and we were still trying to figure out how we were going to afford it because at this point we were negative. We just moved obviously from one state to another. That costs a lot. I didn't have a job yet, trying to figure out what I was going to do, and then trying to figure out what to do with my children. Are they going to go into preschool or like all those things, right? On top of me trying to obviously feel better and how am I going to afford it? So long story short, month 4 came and no more ruptured cysts still. I had more energy and I was looking at Jason. I'm like, now what? Like, what do we do now? And he's like, I don't know, but that's crazy. There's no way that this works. And you're already feeling better. So long story short, I just started sharing my story. And I remember my first post of pretty much like, I'm going to prove this wrong to you and let you know this isn't working because I really didn't think that it was going to work. Now that was like month 2 when I normally shared everything with people, even the oils I tried, the gyms I would go to, I would just share in general life with people. And so I started doing that and didn't realize a lot of people are struggling more than you think. People are praying in their houses for answers, and they're less likely to tell you actually how they're feeling because who wants to hear somebody complain? And so I didn't hardly tell people what I was dealing with ever. It was Jason and very close friends that really knew. And so, long story short, that was 9 years ago. And I've not seen a doctor for endometriosis. I've not had a hysterectomy. I've not had any issues or ailments since then. And that has been a blessing to be able to not have to see a doctor for any of that in 9 years. And to say that is because, like I was talking to the girls before y'all popped on, is that I got to, if you think of your body like a car engine, if there's lights popping on and you don't address the car engine lights on what's going on and you're just banding it, band-aid, oh gosh, I can't talk, slapping stuff on it, you're not getting to the root of what's causing it all, then it's going to keep popping up new things in your car. Like something else is going to happen. And that's what was going on with my body. I didn't know. And thankfully now people are understanding gut health a little bit more, that that is the root to all ailments, truly all. Serotonin levels, eczema, you name it. If we can start with the gut and balance the gut, you are less likely, I can't claim it, you are less likely to have ailments or issues. I have people, and you'll hear Tonia's with lupus, fibromyalgia, Crohn's, IBS, again, you name it. And they're like, I've never felt better. I'm almost off of all my medications. And what it does is I will always have those autoimmune issues, but I don't have the issues from them. It'll all still be in my body, but it's the car engine isn't popping anymore, if that makes sense. And so that has been a blessing to be able to share and witness what God has done in my body through supplements that I truly didn't believe a probiotic would help, but it truly did. And so, Tonia, will you share yours? Because I would love for people to hear your story really quick too.
Yeah. So it all started in high school, and I struggled with periods every month. Between periods, I would have like a pain that they could not figure out or diagnose. And then I got to be like low 20s, early 20s, and then I finally found a doctor that realized that I was having cyst. So they put me on birth control and tried all these things. Then they decided that they would put in an IUD, which is a little mechanism that like makes a T shape, and would kind of stop, the production of eggs and all that. And so I tried that for a while. Things just continued to get worse. And they said, well, we could go in and do probably the word that Cassey was thinking of. I'm not sure, but they said like a minor surgery look around, scope it out, scrape it, whatever. But most of the time, people that have it this bad are back within 5 years. So really, your best bet would be a complete hysterectomy. Well, I was too scared at that point, so I continued with what I was trying to do. And I had researched about, endometriosis and PCOS and how they were autoimmune. So I started doing my own research because I felt like nobody was listening to me. I'm like, but you don't realize, like, I'm trying these meds you're telling me. Obviously, it's growing. Now you're saying I got to have this surgery, and I don't know if I'm ready for that surgery. And so I was trying the diet and trying like the inflammation diet and all those things, like take out dairy, take out gluten, take out all the things that are extra, try to reduce sugar, like, the things that feed what they say is inflammation in our body. And still, even after reducing everything and exercising and getting the sleep, like, vitamin C, vitamin D, all the things. And I still felt terrible. And I'm like, there has to be something. What is going on? So finally, I felt like it was a failure. So I went ahead and went through with the hysterectomy and had a complete hysterectomy at 29. So then I was on hormone supplements. And obviously, I didn't have periods after that. So that part of it, the endometriosis went away, the PCOS, which when they took out my ovaries and tubes, I had 12 cysts on the day of surgery. And it seemed like from there, it was even more of a ripple effect. And so 2011 was my hysterectomy. By 2013, I had to have my gallbladder removed. By 2014, I was in nursing school and my grandma had passed away and I was having other issues. My marriage was kind of rocky and I had been real stressed. And I was like, why am I not able to retain this information? Like nursing school was starting to be a big struggle. And I only had one more year left. And I was at Wichita State getting my bachelor's. So I had worked through 120 some credits before the program and already been through almost a full year. But things were starting to be like the brain fog was terrible. I would get to these points where I would feel weak and shaky and I thought it was blood sugar at one point. And our nursing class had went out to eat, and I got there. We were at the Olive Garden, and they even brought me some of their little nice long breadsticks. They're like, "Here, try a breadstick until we can get you guys sat down, because if it's your blood sugar, that'll help." And I had to end up canceling plans that night for my son because we were going to do a birthday party and went home. And then I struggled in that area. I failed out of nursing school. One class, I failed a test that you had to have a 76% on all your tests and could not maintain the information. So I failed the program and I could have went back in January, but I felt like God just said, not right now. This is not your time. Like, and it was a godsend because I really had to work through some stuff. Um, 2 years later, it took of just battling and in the doctor's office every 2 to 3 weeks. My symptoms were excruciating on my body. I was waking up really stiff. And I had been to the doctor multiple times, and he's like, Tonia, if I could put your life on a board and see all your symptoms, if I sat here for a day, I might be able to figure something out. And he was on the verge of giving me all my paperwork and sending me to Mayo Clinic the like following week. And I got on Facebook, and Tara right there was on, and she said, I think you have fibromyalgia. And I was like, I don't have pain. Like it's just achy. And but I'd reached out to Facebook World for a reason. Like, guys, I'm desperate. If anybody has these issues, like, let me know. And she private messaged me. So I went to an endocrinologist and a rheumatologist, and they did all the things. Well, I also had Hashimoto's thyroid, and I had fibromyalgia. And so that all happened. And then 2017, it turned to adrenal fatigue. And sorry. And it seemed like the battle just continued. I mean, escalating, escalating, escalating. Finally, 2018, I had a friend, by the grace of God, that had been posting plexus for like a year or two. And I just kept pushing it off. And I was like, Cassey, God kept putting it right in front of me, right in front of me. And I'm like, I'm not going to try anything else. I have tried everything, guys. You don't realize how desperate I was. I've tried everything under the moon. And then one day I got real desperate, and it was more desperate than the earlier desperate. And I was like, I've got to try something. And it took one more post, and I tried, and It was not long. I mean, within a month, I can tell you that I could wake up and I could walk without feeling like I had to flex my ankles. Like the stiffness in my joints was already decreased. I didn't have daily migraines. I was able to go to the bathroom regularly because mine would be constipation and then loose stools. Constipation, depending on what I ate. It was like my gut was just so out of whack. Um, Inflammation from the fibro and everything. I mean, I probably gained 55 pounds, 60 pounds in a year and a half, and it would not come off no matter what I did. I could go to the gym and it was like it was just stuck to me. I'm like, I'm eating right, I'm doing all the things, what's wrong? And the inflammation that I had actually tried the other weight loss, Phentermine, I think is what it was called. I did that for 4 months and I only lost 10 pounds. At one point, I tried the GLP-1 shot, did that for 4 months, only lost 10 pounds. My body still would not work with those medicines. So here you're putting lots of money into that just to get the quick fix, and it still wasn't fixing. Like, that's when I was like, it has to be the root cause because when I did Plexus within 3 months, I had lost way more weight than that in inches that were all inflammation and just regulating the blood sugars and all the things in my body. And after that, I decided this is it. I mean, Plexus is the answer. I mean, it's not a gimmick. It's not a quick fix, but I could tell the results immediately in some form or fashion. And the longer I stayed with it, I mean, it's just the rest is history. And my husband, I mean, if you know my husband, he's lost 55 pounds. He's diabetic, lost 55 pounds over the last year, taking our triplex and the balance, which is the natural GLP-1 enhancer. So you're not having to take a shot. It's just your body's naturally producing what's already in there. But when your gut health's out of whack, it can't do it naturally. And I don't know, there's just so many stories and testimonies that it's amazing. And you definitely would not regret anything that we have. That's for sure.
Agree. And I think that's what I love about it is we're really giving our body exactly what our body needs and what God
Hmm.
created. And we have
Yeah.
to give it, a lot of people are like, well, do I have to do this the rest of my life? Well, for me, I will always work out the same. I will always take these because our food is not in a great state to actually give us the nutrition value that our body needs, not like what our great grandparents had. We have chemicals and everything else that's just degraded our food to where our body does need a lot more extra to just function at this point. So I feel like
Hmm.
it's kind of like your car. If you're not giving everything's to a car at this moment, but if you're not taking care of your car and washing it daily or whatever, then you're going to start noticing the paint chipping and other things happening. Exactly the same for your body. You want to keep it on a good regimen for it to operate and function on a the way that you want it to. So that's why we share these products, is because we want people to feel their best. We want people to thrive. Because if you're a
Hmm.
believer, then and you love God like I do, I will say when you feel better, you're more able to do a lot more things that God is calling you to do than when you're struggling. And so
Yeah.
that is what I've loved about this is because, a lot of people didn't see my struggle, but I can do a lot more than what I could 8, 9 years ago today. And I'm super grateful. So I'm glad that you guys came. I'm glad that you heard our stories because that's all the Bible is about. If you think of it, it's just stories. We're just here to tell our stories. And hopefully it inspires you to be able to be like, you know what? This is actually what I've been praying for. Or, you know what? This is actually what I know so and so needs too. That's why we're here, and that's why we spend a little 15, 20 minutes to just share and hear and be able to hear your stories too and how we can help. So I'm going to stop the recording really quick and then